Anyway, you have to better choose friends, Chad. And perfection is not the friend that you are looking for. Trust me. Hello, welcome everyone. Today we have a very important introduction. We are going to sing a lot of songs, or maybe not, we will see. But anyway, today another guest that had a really big challenge. For me personally, that will be a big pain, waking up early so that we can align our calendars. Again, a different time zone, but nothing is impossible in my tribe. And today we are having Chad. Chad, it's pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Joanna.
Oh my God, I am already excited. So, if you don't know Chad, well, I have to tell you something super important before he will do a proper introduction by himself. He is the most famous Agile songwriter in the world. So, we cannot have this conversation without singing and without songs. This is obvious. But there are also other reasons why Chad is here today. Chad, what would you like to know the whole world about you?
The whole world.
Yes.
I don't really want the whole world to know anything about me, but if I was gonna have any claim to the world knowing anything, it probably would be the Agile Songs that you mentioned, right? Like I mean, obviously I do many other things, organizational agility, advising, training with my business partner and co-founder, Jeff Buballs. We have a company, Wisconsin Agility. So we like making change inside of organizations. We have a slogan, get agile, stay agile, that we kind of use everywhere on our podcast with our clients. But on the world stage, probably better known, like you said, for Agile Songs. I mean, enough that I bought the domain. I thought it's probably worth to buy the domain agilesongs.com. So if you're interested, you can find all the ones that I've published at agilesongs.com. But yeah, it's been cool. When I first launched the first song from many nudges from my business partner, Jeff, right? He just kept pushing me. You need to put those on YouTube. You need to put those on YouTube, because he'd hear me sing them all the time and mess around. And I was like, I don't know. Once you record something and put it on the internet, it's permanent, and it scared me. But he finally pushed me over the edge, and I did it. And one of the first songs that I launched, Hey Scrum Master, kind of like, it's the only one that really took off and went a little bit viral. And not like millions of views, but it took off. And what was really cool is the number of messages I got in my inbox on LinkedIn from Scrum Masters all around the world, because it struck a nerve. Like they related to it, I guess. And there were so many people thanking me. Actually, that was what was weird. They were like, thanks for acknowledging us as Scrum Masters, right? Like, because it is a thankless role, right? I mean, a lot of times you do things that nobody really sees, but if you weren't there, everyone would wonder, like, just something doesn't feel right when our Scrum Master isn't there. I feel like I'm talking forever here, and this was supposed to be an intro, but anyway, to answer your question, I don't know. Agile Songs.
Agile
I'm the
songs.
Weird Al Yankovic of the Agile community, I guess. So all my parody songs.
I'm happy to join you in that challenge. I love songs. And some of my training participants know you have to be careful. Do not provoke me, because I can start singing. And you may regret that a lot. I have another topic for today, actually, although songs are important. Come on. It's about farming. So I've heard that this topic is important for you. You are passionate about it. And you are the first person in my life that helped me realize how many great connections we do have between farmers and agility. So
Yeah.
please tell me about this topic. Why this topic is so important, so valuable for you?
Yeah. So I think when we were talking about this last time, it came up in conversation as I had a talk idea for a conference at one point called Farmers, the Original Agilists. And I probably still will write the talk at some point, but it was inspired. I grew up on a farm. I
Hmm.
grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, the United States. And um, when I was as an adult, when I discovered all things Scrum and Agile and learned about Stacy diagrams and David Snowden's, and just everything about complexity and the difference between those domains, simple spaces, complicated spaces, and complex spaces, I realized that farmers, right, they're always dealing with complex things all around them. There are more unknowns than knowns when it comes to a day in the life of a farmer. There's so many things that go wrong, right? Just like a software team supporting a product, and some days you go to work and the system is broken, something's down, right? Your website's down, and it's everyone has to figure out, what are we going to do, how do we fix this? And cross-functional teams come together and they work as efficiently and effectively as they possibly can in that emergency situation. And farmers deal with that all the time. They're dealing with weather that impacts their crops. They're dealing with predators that try to kill their livestock. They're dealing with animals that get sick, right? Um, and then just other things like pipes break in the winter, and now you have a water leak. Um, just so many problems on farms because there's so many complexities with one, uh, raising livestock and keeping them healthy, and then two, fighting all the weather patterns that you deal with. Um, so I don't know. That's how I feel like that's how it relates to product development, the complexities associated with that, and agile teams, right? What are your thoughts? So you just moved to a farm. You've told me this, right? And so, what do you think based on all of that? Like, are you seeing the similarities?
Actually, I feel like this place is gonna teach me to, on one hand, to navigate complexities, but also I feel like there's a lesson that I'm not fully ready to accept, to be honest. And this lesson is like acceptance that so many bad things will happen. And on the one hand, we have a huge respect to the nature, because without it we will not have crops, we cannot live, right? But at the same time I feel like I'm a little enemy for the nature. So it's like a delicate balance between this respect, but also there is this part of this fight, right? So some of
Yeah,
the plants want to grow, but I don't want them in that place. I want to grow here something else. Okay, you are free to be there, but here we will have vegetables, right? I want my veggies to grow here. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And so my wife has a garden, and years ago we had many chickens on our. So I don't live on a farm now, but I do live in the country. So I have enough space that I could have chickens. At one point, I think I had like close to, my goodness, I didn't have 30 chickens, but I had close to 30 chickens, like
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the high 20s. Which, by the way, if you're going to get chickens, don't get like two chickens. If you're out in the wilderness, they probably won't survive. You need to have plenty
Mm-hmm.
of chickens. um, but back to the inspect and adapt cycles, right? And to relate this to complex and agile spaces, just like a product owner would try to bake some telemetry data into their product, right? So that they can learn, inspect, and adapt. Um, at one point, I had many predators killing my chickens at night. And if you if you just don't do anything, right? Oh, I lost a chicken last
Mm-hmm.
night. um, it'll just keep happening. But instead, what I did, right, I had an electric fence already, and I was like, how are they getting in through this electric fence? So I installed some cameras, and so I could learn,
Hmm.
right? Okay, now I see the raccoon is climbing the corner of the fence, and I don't know why it doesn't care. Or the possum is jumping through this gap underneath the fence in the back corner. Um, or what really puzzled me for a while was, oh, it's a hawk flying in from the air, and my fence isn't going to help at all, right? So there's just so many benefits from having some level of inspection, and then I could do something about it. So then again, I felt like it was sprint after sprint, because you'd try something, you reinforce the fence, you'd try something else, and eventually you get to a state where you feel like you have it figured out. Um, so whether you're gardening, same thing, right? You try something one year, you try mulching your beds a different way, you try a different type of soil, you plant at a different time. There's so many experiments to run to have a successful garden. And it's tough because a lot of times it doesn't work out, and then you have to figure out, okay, what am I going to try next time?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I have a feeling that when I try to connect with my memories from the past, we used to be so proud, like, hey, now we are able to deliver something in 2 weeks. I feel like from farmer point of view, even sprinting might have little or no sense. And instead, I perceive it rather like a continuous flow. I don't have time to wait in many experiments like a week, right? I need to quickly understand and quickly experiment to find the next step. Because if, for instance, in Poland, this summertime when a lot of plants are growing pretty well lasts, like, I don't know, a few months, but I would say, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, depending of course on the plant. So you have a really limited time box. I don't have time to wait like 1 month, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, And the other thing that I'm thinking about too, which I forgot about until now, is the cross-functional skill set that's required to be on a farm. So when I think back to my dad, he milked cows, he did the field work, he fixed machinery. Like we were a small, modest farm, so we didn't have $1 million brand new equipment. We had equipment that was decades old, but we kept it working, right? So the number of impediments that you face throughout a day, right? My dad might wake up. I'm just going to make some things up, but I'm sure he had days like this. Um, you, you go to milk the cows in the morning and you find out that one of the cows is missing, or one of the cows is acting funny and it might be sick. So then you have to call the veterinarian. But then you know that it's going to rain tomorrow and you really need to get out and um, bale the hay that you cut the previous 2 days because it's dry.
Mm-hmm.
And if it rains, now it's going to be wet again and you have to wait, right? Or maybe it's springtime and you're trying to get your seed planted, and you've got to try to time it with the rain as well, right? Always trying to find some way to beat the weather. I remember that. And then all of that's going on. Those are the things maybe on my dad's backlog, if he was thinking in those terms. And then a fence breaks and he gets a call from a neighbor that one of his cows is running across the highway. Well, that's not a good situation. That's a huge liability, right? Almost like the equivalent of like a production down, or some data has leaked on a system,
Yeah.
right? And so what do? It's all hands on deck. Get the family out there. We're trying to get the cows back into the fence, fix the fence, right? Emergency taken care of. Now he's got to go back and try to finish his day and get the things done that he wanted to get done, right? And so I think that the thing I always saw growing up on the farm is there was just, maybe this is life in general, right? You always have a to-do list and it always feels like you're never getting ahead of it. But on a farm especially, like, there is never going to be a point where you're like, I have everything exactly equilibrium where I want to be with my backlog. There's always something to do. Um and so again, like, one person with a multi-skilled uh makeup would be great to have on a farm. My dad was very multi-skilled, but he also relied on other cross-functional team members, right? I remember sometimes we would get woken up in the middle of the night. There was a cow that was going to have a calf. And sometimes, just like with other births, something's not going well and maybe the calf is turned around or something, and you need help from a whole family to pull this calf out of a cow. Like, maybe I'm getting a little too graphic, but that's how it is on a farm. And so we would get pulled, woken up in the middle of the night, walk out to the barn, and we'd all be pulling a helping a cow deliver a calf. Um, and so again, like, just there was a family feeling, which really was like a cross functional team that you relied on, because while my dad was very skilled, he couldn't have done it all on his own. He needed help from time to time to get things accomplished on the farm. So I don't know. I'm probably telling too many childhood stories here, and this is boring people.
I have to tell you that I created my tribe for myself, and that others, at least from time to time, are interested. It's like uh, additional outcome, right? I'm super interested because I'm planning to have birds. I'm planning to grow veggies, herbs, mushrooms here.
Nice.
So that's why, I'm just absorbing and trying to accept my reality, but at the same time I also feel, and I think you already tackled that topic. When you live in a village, when you are living in the farm, community building is becoming more and more important. So when
Yep.
I used to live in a big city, I felt like, it's okay to be like, I'm here alone, maybe thousands of people in the exactly the same small street, but I'm here alone and maybe I should not care. And here we are living in an ecosystem, when if I pretend that I don't care about my neighbors and they should not care about me, I may end up with a situation like, as you said, cow standing in the middle of the road. You have to solve that. Or it happened already to me, unfortunately. The tree has fallen on the road, and
Yep.
there's no way you can jump if you want to travel to a different place. Someone has to help you, and you are not always having all the equipment. Sometimes it's a few neighbors coming and
Yep.
together collaborating to resolve the issue, to resolve the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that so much too. Uh, the community that you have as a farming community, right? You once in a while you need to borrow a certain type of equipment from someone else.
Hmm.
Again, it's kind of based in that cross functional skill set, and then also like the retrospective piece of it. There wasn't YouTube videos that farmers could watch decades ago. Like when
Hmm.
I was growing up in the '80s, like, you learned by doing. You learned by trying something and then in repeating the things that worked, and avoiding the things that didn't. And then you did have some level of retrospective. I remember there'd be times where my dad we would drive to a neighbor's house and he would sit there and just talk with another farmer for a long time. And as a kid, I would be like, I'm bored. Why are we here? But they would be talking about things that they're doing, right? Like, whether they knew it or not, they were almost having like this cross collaboration
Hmm.
retrospective of probably talking about crops and things. And I don't know all the content of the conversations, but I'm sure there were times where they would like share things that they were doing, things they were trying. So um yeah, and I would say farming today has changed so much. Like, big scale farming has probably changed so much
Hmm.
um, with the technology that's available now. Even just having a drone that you can go check on crops and things like that. Like, I don't have firsthand experience with any of this now, but I'm blown away by um, what technology can do for farming now. Even Jeff and I recently attended a Scrum.org event. We went to the face to face in Amsterdam, and on our last day there, we took a bus tour up into the northern part of the Netherlands, and I can't remember the name of the company, but they basically make milking machines.
Hmm.
Um, and like really high tech. Like the cows know to walk into the machine themselves. There's no human involved, and this machine will milk the cows,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next cow lines up. I watched it. Like they had a demo there, and I was amazed by it. It was
Mm-hmm.
because my dad spent years of his life milking cows, which is doing body weight squats essentially every morning and every night your entire almost your entire life because you're doing everything manually. Like he had milking machines, but still it was so much more manual than this new tech. So anyway, I'm rambling about farming.
Oh, come on. It's super interesting. And you know what? I feel like maybe I'm the right person in the right place because people who know me, they have to be careful when speaking about plants, herbs, mushrooms, especially because I'm a mushroom forager and this is one of the Polish sports. So we have complaining, fighting with each other, and mushroom foraging.
Nice. Do you have morels in Poland? Do you know what I mean by that?
Is it some kind of the mushroom?
It is. In Wisconsin, we call them morels, Morels.
Hmm.
If you look up, I guess they're called true morels on Wikipedia.
Ah, yes, we do. We do have those, but I'm not looking for them. I
Okay.
have my favorite types of mushrooms, and I'm planning to try those mushrooms that can be grown on the farm because so far I've been specializing in some of the species of wild mushrooms. So you go to the
Okay.
forest, like pure complexity. You have no idea how many mushrooms will you find. You have to be careful and prepared for almost everything. But I'm planning to make this process more controlled, right? And at the same time, I feel like complexity will just come like the fist with, kiss with a fist, like, here you go,
Yeah.
Joanna, this is your mushroom. Uh, yeah. So definitely those are my plans, and I feel like I feel like this is something that can also bring me deeper understanding of some of the concepts that I've been learning about for so many years. But this particular change, I feel like it will affect me a lot, And it's not only about becoming like a cross functional human being, because I really feel like I will learn tons of things. I already learned a lot, but this knowledge that I'm going to absorb is enormous. And also the way how I function, the way how I collaborate, this building community. Now it's for me, it's like enormous change coming. And at the same time, when you first told me about farmers as original, as true agilist, I was like, damn, in our daily lives, when we live in big cities, when we have this, work in our big companies, or maybe medium or small size, or startups, right? I believe we tend to forget that Agile Manifesto starts with people, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot of things about processes, about techniques, about tools. But Agile Manifesto starts with people and interactions. And I feel like this is super important here. I feel like people spend more time, significantly more time, on building those interactions, in the shops, in the closest town. People greet each other, they ask questions, and it's not like, what's up. They show curiosity. They build
Yep.
really strong foundations for that. And for me, it's refreshing. It's like, oh wow. and everyone is saying hello, good morning to each other, which is not always a case when you live in a big city in Poland.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar. I probably have heard this on other podcasts before, but there's something with a big city, and not to say that you can't have great friends and community and
Hmm.
inside of a city, but there are so many people in some large cities that it does feel like kind of like if you're an employee in a really large organization, you almost feel like just a number,
Hmm.
uh, and there's less connection. Um, Whereas in rural communities, there's typically much stronger community because you rely on each other. Like let's say I live in Wisconsin, we have large snowstorms in the winter, and sometimes you need a neighbor to help plow snow out, and like you just rely more on your neighbors when you're not in a city. Whereas in the city, oh, the snowplow will be here and everything will be
Hmm.
fine, and everything just you just go through the motions a lot of times because things are sort of taken care of for you. Um, so yeah, there's a lot more. Not, again, I don't want to knock people who live in the city. There's nothing wrong with that, but um, you you tend to be a bit more independent, I think, when you're
Hmm.
out on your own in the wild.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I heard my nature calling already a few years back, and now I'm feeling like, on one hand, what have I done to myself? But on the other, it's an amazing journey, it's amazing learning journey. And for me, I believe this is something that I felt it would come, but did not, I have never imagined how big this learning journey would be. In the city, I I could choose to, okay, I'm not gonna learn that topic. And here, if this topic affects me, well, I can try to ignore it, but the consequences will be terrible. So it's
Yeah,
like I put myself in the position when definitely my brain cells won't die because I have to practice them, exercise, practice with them every single day.
yeah, yeah. It's great, and I don't know. I feel like compelled to share this too. When I was younger, I didn't like living in the country. I didn't like
Hmm.
living on a farm. I would tell my parents; they would always remind me of this. Um, that I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to move to the big city. And I'm never going to live out in the country because my friends had skateboards and concrete, and they could like ride their skateboard on concrete and ride their bicycle. And I lived out in the country. And we had gravel roads, and I couldn't even do that. So like I feel like there was one Christmas I got a skateboard for Christmas, and I couldn't ride it anywhere because there was no concrete. So it's just like eh, those things as a child. I hated living on a farm as a child. Maybe not that's a strong word, but I remember being very frustrated and sort of envious of people who lived in the city. And then, sure enough, as an adult, where do I buy a house? Out in the country, away from the city, right? And I'm not that far from a city. I kind of have a little bit of the best of both worlds. I have enough seclusion in the country, but still neighbors very close by and the conveniences of the city. So I don't know, but maybe it's a lesson. I try to remind myself and others of this all the time. Like never say never, right? Like I am guilty of always taking a strong stance with conviction and saying I will never, and then a few seconds later I have to remind myself, well, never say never. I probably will change my mind at some point again and be a hypocrite because we're all hypocrites, right? Like we can't. You change. People do change, and for the better, for the worse, but you do change throughout life. So anyway,
Yeah, people do change, and I also observe some significant changes in myself. And you know what? I feel like that's good. Every single
yeah,
change can bring opportunity to do something better. Of course, it's not always the case, but it's a learning journey, and definitely, excuse me, living in the farm is like bringing this learning journey to a high extent to your life.
yeah, it's exciting.
It is. And you know what? Speaking about excitement, do you have already in your wonderful collection of songs a song that is telling about farmers as original agilists?
Mm. I don't think I have one associated with farming besides the one I just mentioned, Farmhouse by Fish, but that's a stretch. No, I don't think I do. I don't think I have anything like associated with farming necessarily. Um, but I'll have to think about it. You know, I've always been more of a rock and roll fan than like a country music fan. But I bet if I tapped into some of the popular country music songs, I bet I could find something with a farm theme, and I bet I could work some agile lyrics into it. So maybe I'll have to like dip my toe into country music maybe once or twice here, but I don't know. That'd be tough for me because I'm not 100% opposed to country music, but most of my passion comes in from like the 1990s rock alternative scene. So
Yeah, yeah. I can relate to that to some extent. And at the same time, I don't listen to country music, but I feel like there are great songs about nature, about living in the countryside. And in Poland, I would call this type of music like a singing poetry. Somehow
mm,
I connect it
yeah,
in English vocabulary with Cohen. I believe he had some great songs. This is this
yeah,
type of the songs that I would look uh, for an inspiration.
yeah. You said like Leonard Cohen?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
This
just wanted to
style.
make sure I.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and probably very similar to like Bob Dylan, right?
yeah,
He was very lyrical, storytelling, right?
exactly.
Um, yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's fun.
So we've
I mean, some of my favorite songs, kind of back to the music thing, are you keep saying like this. I don't know. You're not even calling this a podcast technically, are you? But whatever your tribe is, whatever this is, right? You're getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, and you're not necessarily doing it for an audience. Um, it's similar for the songs. Like I'm posting them now, and I think about it more, like how they're going to be perceived, and if will someone like this song? Will they relate to it? Is this song popular enough that somebody will get the funny humor, in the lyrics? Um, and even my business partner Jeff, he's pushed me on some of them to be like, hey, you should really try to make them educational, right? Because we're trainers, and if you could have the song sort of teach people the components of Scrum, that would be really cool. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I've sort of shaped some of the lyrics to do that over the years. But selfishly, I get the most enjoyment out of the songs that I can scream and belt out the lyrics and just test the limits of my voice, because it's so therapeutic to just not scream but to sing and just get that out, right? And so the songs that are sort of fun and goofy, they're fun and they're enjoyable to play and edit and create. But the ones that I've really enjoyed over the years are like the one I did, Smells Like Scrum Spirit, based on Nirvana, because I was able to sort of like get that gritty Kurt Cobain voice out in some of the lyrics. And another one is the one by it's actually originally by a Prince song, I believe, but Sinead O'Connor remix of "Nothing Compares to You." That's one of my favorite lyrics to sing. Still is the opening line of that, right? It's a parody, so it's been 7 sprints since we released. Every day a new dependency. And so,
ah.
right, there you go. But I like that lyric because it's fun to just belt out and start the song that way. But when I first like wrote it, I was like, oh, this is great because Jeff always pushes me to make the songs more positive, right? And not make them negative. But the ones that I really, there's a lot of unreleased songs that I haven't released yet. They're not a happy story, right? Like it's been 7 sprints since we released. That's a team that's frustrated. They're using Scrum and they're trying hard, but they're not getting the results that they wanted. And so much of my growing with Scrum and Agile over the decades here was that. Like I wasn't in a perfect environment. I was a project manager in a waterfall organization, and nobody gave me permission to use Scrum. I was like starting like Scrum teams in stealth mode. So it was hard. And though there was a lot of frustration associated with that. And so a lot of my lyrics, I have many lyrics kind of about my project management days, right? Where it's more frustrating. So I like those are my favorite songs actually. And TBD when I start, if I can release some more of those, maybe people will relate to those more too. Because I think people they listen to music sometimes to relate to like I have that same problem, I have that frustration, right? Um, so anyway, those are some of my favorite. The music is fun to put out, but selfishly, it's just therapeutic for me.
You know what? I feel like I love those songs that you mentioned because of those emotions and energy.
Yeah,
And sometimes I just want a song because I want to connect with this person performing that on this emotional level. So you
yeah,
have my full support to think about frustration, especially because I don't know if I told you that. I'm certified action learning coach, and in this approach, we love problems. We love talking about problems, feeling this itchiness, this uncomfortable feeling. This is what we want. Why? Because most likely this will be driver for the group to collaborate, find experiments, potential solutions for this problem, and they will decide to change. Because a lot of people ask me, oh, people don't want to change. But have you asked yourself why they should? Why they should? Every day,
yeah,
living in the farm, right? Living in situations like we face, is a challenge. Why should I put more on my plate? Unless this is the problem that I feel I can connect it to, it is real, then you have my buy in. That's why
yeah.
I love those songs. I love emotions. And I'm looking forward to those songs. Please tell your friend, perfectionist, like, here is the coffee machine, make a coffee, okay? Okay. And then you go back to your desk, and I'm waiting for new songs.
Yeah. I need to get more recorded. That's definitely the lyrics are there, and now I just need to put the work into recording them. But I will be um, a, a a little plug. We're going to be. I don't know how many how it would be to get to Wisconsin, but we have Scrum Day in Wisconsin in October, and I'm going to have a. It's like playing like a street musician in the
Hmm.
hallways of the conference, but I'm going to have a setup again. Um, and I'm hoping to experiment with a lot of songs this year that people haven't heard. So unreleased songs, and I'll just play them live at the conference so people can get a taste for those. So maybe do like a '90s mashup where we'll just do a bunch of short songs. So, but yeah, that'll be fun. That's in October. So I've been practicing that lately in the basement, um, just to get it dialed in. Because performing in like a studio environment for recording is very different than performing on a live PA system. So trying to work on getting that all set up, but it'll be fun.
Of course. Of course. Take those positive emotions, and people will love because of emotions, because you are true. Don't make nice songs. Make
Don't make nice songs.
make them believe. Make songs real. And life is complex. You already told me that, right?
Oh yeah, I like that. That's going to be ringing around in my head for a long time now. don't make. Did you say don't make nice songs? Okay, that will be my mantra from now on.
Hooray! So now, if you manage to still be with us, listen to us, chat. We have to propose a hashtag for this particular episode. Each episode has its own hashtag. People are free to use it when commenting, when sharing the content. So I'm gonna let you choose the hashtag.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's got to be between like two, something around the farm, right? Like farmers are the original agilists, something like that. Original agilists farmers or farmers original agilists.
Okay.
And then I also like don't make nice songs.
So we have it. Those, I believe, we have another record hit because those are the longest
Yeah.
hashtags I've ever had. But every day brings learning, new opportunities, new things. So I'm excited for that. So, with that, I feel like we should end up our song beautifully. So, thank you. Thank you very much, Chad. You're simply the best. Do, do, do. Better than all the rest. And now you can also say goodbye.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. This was a fun conversation, and yeah, hopefully our paths will cross in the future. And good luck on all of the impediments you're about to face on your farm.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna call you when I'm planning to buy chickens. So maybe in a few months when the spring starts. So next year I
Yeah.
will start planning that. And I already thought about like something between 20 and 30 because I already said to myself, some of them will die because I'm not experienced person. Some of them will be killed.
Yeah. It's it's uh it's the facts. It will happen. Yeah. But there's things you can do. I have tips and tricks for you depending on how much money you want to invest in those chickens. Cuz if you think you're going to have chickens on your own to save money, I wouldn't approach it that way cuz uh yeah. I don't think I ever broke even on my chicken investment, but I had fresh eggs every morning that I were from my own backyard. So there's something to say about that, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, actually, I was thinking about because I there are no many neighbors here because this is really a farming place. There are a lot of people with heavy equipment around. So I thought to myself, when I will be sad and there will be no one at home, I can go to my chickens and talk to them, and I will have a real creatures to talk to. You know.
Just my first flock, me and my family, we got attached to them and we named all of them, okay?
Yes, of
Just
course.
just that's you can do that, but when they are no longer around or when tragedy happens, it's just a little bit more of an emotional tug. Whereas if you don't name them, they're just a chicken in the flock. So I don't know. You might find your mileage may vary, but
Of
that first
course.
flock was really tough when we lost those chickens because everyone was so sad because there was a name associated with it. So
There is a way how to do it. You have to, when you buy a new chicken, you add the same name.
there you go.
I'm
There you go.
already practicing that because all of the snails, and I'm having enormous snails. I believe some of people love eating them. I'm not. They are so beautiful, so big, and each snail has exactly the same name, which is Bonifacy. Polish strange name. Strange because
Okay.
it's not currently very common. So it's easy. Just call like using this very same name and repeat, repeat, repeat.
That's great.
You see already a lot of lessons gathered. And with that, it's time to say goodbye. I believe you are starting your day and I have to eat something because it's already late afternoon. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in the near future. As you can see, even meeting you brings a lot of joy to my life. So
Yeah, this was fun. This was a blast. I enjoyed the conversation.
So thank you, everyone. Please remember about super long hashtags. Please remember, not nature is amazing, but it can also kill you. And take all those amazing learnings, and we see each other in the next episode. Bye!